Hello, Holistic Chamber of Commerce family. Welcome to today's Member Spotlight segment. I have with me Desirie Parker, and she's going to talk to us about how to have a thriving career. I mean, we may think we have a thriving career, but she's here to put a nice little spin on how we can have maybe a greater impact. Maybe on our own health and wellness inside of our career. So, real quick, a little about her. She is a veteran of the nonprofit anti-trafficking industry who's led staffs ranging from in size from 5 to 35, and under her leadership, more than 50% of her employees were promoted to their first leadership positions. She's a certified trauma-informed coach and a certified clinical trauma specialist, offering trauma-informed coaching and consulting services under her brand Empower Together. So she's here to talk with us about the integration of mental health when building a healthy career and workplace. Welcome, Desirie.
Hi, so good to be here, Lori. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so what made you focus on this?
So, like you mentioned, I've been in nonprofit for a long time and working primarily in trauma services. So, working my way through those organizations and up into leadership, the last like 7 years of that was spent in director positions and leading staffs. I came to realize that even though we were working with victims of trauma, the staff was not being cared for in a way that was conducive to what we call trauma informed care. Um, so while we were trying to provide, you know, loving, caring, supportive, safe environments to our clients, we weren't providing them to our employees. And that bleeds down into the care you provide for your clients or your customers or whatever the circumstances is, because this isn't exclusive to nonprofits. Anybody who has had a job in a company or an organization or a nonprofit, anything, has experienced some kind of toxicity in a work environment, and it affects everything in your life. It bleeds into your personal life. It bleeds into your mental well-being and your physical health. And so I really came to realize that as I stepped out of caring for it directly for trauma victims, that it was time to maybe start caring for the caregivers of trauma victims and just people in general who want to have a better career experience.
How have you seen it changed people's career experience?
I think it's once people understand, especially in leadership. That's a lot. I work a lot with leaders, and once they realize, one of the things that I emphasize is that everybody has trauma. Um, so while I say, I've worked in trauma direct services, everybody has some kind of trauma in their life, whether it's what we call in mental health big T trauma or little T trauma. And you don't know that about your workforce, and you don't know that about your workplace, your coworkers. Every year, according to the Rape and Abuse Incest National Network, 500,000 girls over the age of 12 are raped. So accumulate that over all these years, and that's an enormous number of women in the workforce who've experienced some kind of sexual assault. According to the CDC, 1 in 7 children just in 2020 experience some form of child abuse or neglect. And that's not, and that's just isolated to 1 year. And again, that's not unique to that specific year. That's gone on forever. So if you look around your workplace, you look around your team, the people that you're leading, these people have experienced trauma that you probably don't know anything about. Not to mention the global pandemic that we just all came out of, where there was an enormous amount of fear and isolation, and it had a huge impact on people's mental health and well-being and their jobs. A lot of them, they went from maybe working in an office place to working in isolation, and maybe that was hurtful, or they may have lost their jobs altogether because of how the pandemic impacted them. And so as leaders, especially understanding that we need to be creating safer, more trusting, better supportive work environments for people that aren't re-traumatizing, that aren't triggering, and unintentionally a lot of times, but is really important, I think.
So on a basic fundamental level, when you
Mhm.
are aware of trauma-informed practices and just being
Mhm.
mindful about how you communicate with people, even like music that you're listening to, like if you have music in your workspace can trigger.
Mhm.
When you are mindful of this at a basic level, are we talking about like it's increasing people's focus, their productivity? I mean, like getting down to that basic, because that's what leaders really want, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Creating a healthier workforce is going to create more profitable and better business, because a healthier workforce is going to stay longer. They're going to perform better. They're going to take less sick days, but they're going to take their PTO days because they need them, and you should encourage them to do that because we need to rest and recharge. So definitely encourage people to do that. But they're going to be overall more satisfied in their jobs. Um, and that's going to lead to better customer care, better client care, and increase your organization's well-being overall. So this isn't just something that when I work with an organization, I'm saying, you need to invest all this money into some kind of program. Most of the time, when I work with an organization, I'm encouraging them to utilize resources that they already have within them, to build mentorship programs or to facilitate peer support groups or things like that that are not going to cost them a bunch of money. It's stuff that's going to help the workforce become healthier and safer and get rid of that toxicity. Um, and it's going to help them, not cost them a bunch of money.
I appreciate your approach to this because there's a lot of like corporate wellness programs out there.
Mhm.
But a lot I've seen, it's like they focus on, oh, nutrition. How can we help our people lose weight? And while that's great,
Yeah.
I
Oh, of
mean,
course.
there's definitely a place for that. I think that trauma, maybe this is just stemming from my own psychotherapy background. I feel like that this is more of like a root cause
Mhm.
of many people's suffering, a root cause of many people's trouble focusing, even like weight gain. Like there could be a root trauma cause there. So
Absolutely.
I really appreciate your approach to this.
Absolutely. And it's not that, helping people focus on their health and stuff like that is bad because absolutely part of trauma informed care, we want people to take care of themselves, and emphasize that your well-being is important. So while we want to create healthy and safe work environments, that should enable the employee, the leader, whoever it is, to be able to have that time and that mental space to be able to take better care of themselves because they're not as overburdened, they're not feeling um, the levels of stress that a toxic work environment would normally create for them. So they're able to focus on when they're off, they're able to spend time with family and friends. They're able to focus more on their own nutrition or maybe get in that workout that otherwise they're too just dead after work, to go do because I've been there.
Mhm. Let's get clear on how exactly you work with people and what that looks like. Because you said you work mostly with leaders. So is this more like a one-on-one coaching where you kind of support them in implementing their own programs, or do you go in and also do group things with, people of the team? What does that look like?
So I do actually both. I have clients that are nonprofits right now, and then companies. So I will work with their leadership, but I will also then sometimes work with the employees separately to teach them how to engage better and to use their voices to advocate them for themselves, to help facilitate their own, peer support groups, to uh, make sure that they are asking for the things that they need, that they are taking the PTO time, that they are not losing themselves in a job if and taking on things that they shouldn't be. That's a big part of things too. Is people who go into a job environment and they just don't know how to say no. They think they have to work all the long hours and do all the extra projects to get noticed and move up and all that. And that's not always that's not in today's, today's world. We want to be healthy. We want to be happy. We want to be able to have a harmonious life, something more balanced, so that work isn't running our lives. And so I'll work with employees on things like that, and then leaders on how to facilitate those mentorship programs, employee incentives, how to spot, toxic situations in work environments whenever you see cliques forming or gossips, going around, or just things that you don't want to see in your workplace, and how to kind of squash that and get that out of the culture. But then I will also work with individuals who are looking to enhance their own careers, and they want to learn more about how to become more in tune with their own lives and use that trauma informed approach to center themselves, and look for what they really want. So get in touch with their personal values, what's most important to them in their lives, and create a career that's in sync with that, so that they're not working at something that doesn't doesn't feel meaningful to them.
Mhm. So it sounds like, you have a lot of information gathering that needs to happen too, with
Mhm.
the leadership or the leadership team. What do you see happening, and what is your desired results, and um,
Absolutely.
things like that. So when someone wants to hire you, like they're a
Mhm.
leader, what are some of the complaints that they have? Like, oh, Desiree, help me because this is happening.
Mhm. A lot of it is, we have some people on our team, our leadership team, maybe that are really out of sync, and they're creating conflict. Maybe they don't. They've kind of diverged from what we originally, wanted, from what the company wants. They're having issues that are taking them away, and they're not really being team players. Or we're just seeing a lot of turnover in our staff, and we think it might have to do with the way supervision is going. We're seeing that people are really hostile towards their supervisors, or they're quitting because they want to leave for, just a better opportunity or another opportunity. And not that financial motivation isn't valid, because of course it is, but there are certainly ways to add benefit to the job that aren't necessarily always financial. But then they'll also, individuals will come and say, like, I really feel burnt out at what I'm doing. I don't like it. I'm not happy with it. I don't know if I need to change directions or just fix something, within myself to keep going. Because I've experienced that as well. I experienced burnout while I was working with trafficking survivors, and I needed time to recover from that. And I didn't change fields at the time. I went back into or in the same kind of work, but I did need that time to recover from the burnout. So helping people understand where they are and what it is they need to do, what it is they want to do next. Is it change careers? Is it shift focuses? Is it just pull things back in and focus on themselves for a while and then make a shift? So yeah, it is. It's very personal.
So this sounds like it's a very comprehensive thing. It's not like, oh, this is like a 4-week program and I go in and do XYZ. Um, what can someone expect in terms of, like, the time? Because a lot of people want a quick fix, come in here,
I
fix
know.
my group and woohoo.
I
What
know.
can people expect when they're working through this process with you?
They can expect a relationship because, like you mentioned, having a psychotherapy background. As somebody who has a mental health background, I know, healing is all about relationship. And I if I'm going to help somebody move forward in their life, then I want to get to know them. I want to get to know what it is they really want out of life, because I don't want to create some 10 steps to a new you type of thing when there is no one size fits all, and if I try to squeeze it into that, then people are not going to be satisfied and they're not going to be happy. And I don't want to be responsible for saying, well, if you do these things, then things will be better. um, what I need to get to know, like, what it is you want out of life, what it is you want out of your career in conjunction with your life, because your career has to have some kind of balance with your life, and it has to have some kind of meaning in your life. um, Even if that meaning is just it facilitates financially the other things in my life, which is okay too. But we need to establish. So it does take some getting to know people. So I am very uh, I don't know if hands-on is the right word, but I'm very face to face, and I like to talk. I'm not super formal. I'm relatively casual, with most of the people that I work with, and so I get to know them and get to be friends with them.
So in terms of like the time range that you're working with someone, I mean, I know it's not like a one size fits all thing, but what is that
Sure.
range that you found that you're working with people?
It does depend, absolutely, on what their goal is, and uh, what their budget is, um, what their idea is of how long some, because I want to be mindful of people's money, and I want to be mindful of course, my own need to be paid, but also I want to be people, and I don't want to waste people's time. So, um, I offer the uh, or the organizational uh, packages at a flat rate, and then expect that those will take some time or between 3 to 6 months, depending on the size of the organization. So it is a flat rate that then depending on, may range from 3 to 6 months. When it comes to individuals, it's a little bit different. It's a more of like a monthly rate, um, and we can start with like a 3 month, or a 6 month, and they can make that determination from there. If after 3 months the contract ends and they want to go month to month, or something like that, it depends on it. I just want to make sure they're getting value,
Mhm.
that they feel like they're progressing and they're getting value.
Mhm.
So,
Okay. If you like, someone wants to continue the conversation with you, continue to learn more about you, or inquire about your services, where can
absolutely.
they go?
So my website is the best place to go. It's www.empower-together.com. That's got uh, a place right at the top to subscribe to my monthly newsletter. It's got an inquiry uh, form. It's got a place to set up a call. It has links to my book. I've got a book about trauma. Basically, goes through very simple terms of what the neurobiological response of trauma is in our bodies, which is really beneficial for a lot of people when they understand, when they're having some kind of traumatic response, that they're not crazy. Um, they're not freaking out. They're not having some kind of, there's not something wrong with them. Their body is doing exactly what it is designed to do. And so this is just it's a short book. It's available on Amazon if you search my name. The link is also on my website, but it just gives you a brief, simple but accurate understanding of why your body responds the way it does, and what it does, and why you're feeling the way you do, and why you're having the reactions you do. There's nothing wrong with you. Your body's doing what it's supposed to do. Your brain's doing what it's supposed to do. So, it has links to my podcast. I have a relatively new podcast that's also Empower Together. The links are on my website as well, but I'm on every podcast platform: Spotify, YouTube, Apple, Google, Amazon. So you can follow all of those. But yeah, my website is really the one stop shop for all of those things.
Wonderful, wonderful. So if you're interested in connecting with Desiree and getting some more information, please head on over there, check out some of her resources. Thanks to those who tuned in. Thank you, Jeff. He made a comment, a great conversation information. He thanks you for doing what you're doing. So thanks, Jeff,
Oh,
for
thank you.
joining today. And thank you so much, Desiree, for being here and for helping us just remember how important this topic is, even if it's a little T. You know, divorce. I mean, we all have it. We all do.
That,
So I
yes,
appreciate that we're kind of waking up to that. So
yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
We can all do that.
yeah. Thank you, Desiree. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.